beautiful souls. I'm so excited to have this live with y'all. I wasn't intending to go live about this thing that I just did that many of you may know, and that is my first newsletter. And I'm going to read it. I'm going to actually share with you what is said in the newsletter. And the reason why I decided to go live with it is because I was sitting with Spirit, and it's so profound and it's so deep that some people thought they were grammar issues. And I chuckled because it was very purposefully written in the ways that it was written, from the caps to the words to the way that the words are written. And because this is Godis switching the code, right? There's a sense of remembrance to be open-minded to the code switching, to the messages that I channel to flow in a direction in which may show you where there's resistance and restrictions and concepts and principles and all of that, right? And so I'm going to read it to you. I should probably turn on the light, but the lights bother me. They really do. Side note, like, if those of you that don't really know me, lights have always been a thing that bothered me. I remember even as a teenager when I moved back into my mom's house, I had to share a room with my sister, and she was like, oh, well, the room is going to be both of yours. So, like, I was thinking of painting the room. What color paint would you like the room? And I was like, black. I was like, please, it's so bright. And she was like, no. And my sister was like, no, we're not painting the room black. And I was so sad. And so they compromised, and they got black blinds, the blinders, and curtains. So I was grateful for that, at least. But I digress. Going to the newsletter. So welcome to the Codex Cipher. And even the way that cipher is written, it is not written in a traditional CIPHER, or CYPHER, because it is purposeful. And a cipher brings you back to ground zero, to the cold zero, to nothing. A cipher could also bring you back to a circle. I'm from the Bronx, New York, because if it wasn't for the Bronx, this rap shit wouldn't be going on. So tell me where you from. Uptown, baby, right? And those of you who's into hip-hop that know, if there's hip-hop, there's a cipher going on, right? If there's artistry, if there's music, if there's a gathering, there's a cipher that's going on, whether it's freestyling, rap battling, dissecting and building, right? There's usually a cipher. And a cipher is also deciphering. A cipher is to decipher the codes. And so it says, welcome to the Codex Cipher. And a codex is Code X, perhaps, or a relic or manuscript, right? And again, I want to share before I keep breaking it down. I'm just sharing with you just the beginning and the welcome, right? Then it says Godis switching code, right? Okay. So I'm going to read it and then we're going to go through it. And I'm not going to do this for every month. However, Spirit was like, share it on live because it's so profound that it's to be sat with more than one. There's a journal prompting. So a newsletter is to inform, is to introduce, right? So there's an introduction, there's information, there's a journal prompting, and there is the journal prompting is the invitation, right? And then, so there's the invitation and then the news, right? So let's get into it. Hello, beautiful soul. They say in the beginning was the word, and I welcome you to the CIP44444 in parentheses, or CIP44444. This was a keyboard error, and yet no error at all. So I will leave it here as we journey together, in parentheses. Without identity, one has the zero restrictions towards any fixed concepts, and yet has full potential of being and coming to a noun. Perhaps that is the pursuit to happiness and freedom? Question mark. Consciousness without identity. The absence of attachments. 0 point. One's path to enlightenment or expression. Both a public duty and a private right of law by the natural world. I sit here birthing this new experience as a caption of a ship able to navigate through the waters of my imagination that I have yet to see. In the midst of the air, my thoughts are blank with no ideals or visions, yet I can feel the contractions of change in the air as I land a topic for this, the very first Codex cipher, a noun, which every month you can read all about its growth from nothing to a tree of life. Perhaps a relic in the DNA codes to be recited as a living manuscript as I type, who am I? Who am I? Soul, consciousness, identity. Perhaps this is a question for you to ask yourself and journal about. Welcome to the Codex Cipher, where the pages are released each month to dive deeper into the codes of the Codex, in which are in constant flow of change with different focal points until we meet again. God is switching the code. So, CIP44444. What happened there was I was in the midst of channeling. I was going to do this newsletter completely different other way, and Spirit moved me in this direction and says, no, we got something more to share. I said, okay. So I sat there, got the code name, Codex Cipher. Okay, the way that cipher is also written, besides ground zero, besides the cipher, the circle, the building, the deciphering, right? It's also written in the form that it is a weapon. It is a etheric weapon in the ethers that is connected to Odin, right? And This is why words can cast so many spells and can go through so many things when you identify and keep yourself in a box or just standing in that square of resistance of expanding into how does it feel for you? Does it only mean what we think it means? Some words have multiple definitions and they're the same words. Some words sound alike. There, right? World, right? Whirl, world, right? So I really invite you, those of you who did get the newsletter, to sit with it. And I know some of you are actually watching. And so, yeah, getting a deeper deciphering. And even though I'm not going to do this every month and getting you deeper into the deciphering, in the cipher with the newsletter, the invitation to ask yourself, who am I? Sitting with that question alone after reading what you wrote, what was written in the newsletter, can challenge you in the areas, like I said, many people, I got so much great feedback. And then there was an individual who she did not understand it at all, but had so much criticism about it. And I welcomed it. Oh, because I love criticism. For me, it helps you grow and build and see how you could improve in life, right? So she was very gentle about it and everything like that, but just has so much criticism. And when I asked her, I said, did you understand it? She said, no. I said, I invite you to sit with it a little bit longer. See, and she's a Virgo. Then another Virgo came and texted me and was like, I absolutely love it. That was so free flowing. I just felt like I was in the water with you in the flow. But I can't help but think to ask you, did you already send it out to, your collective of people? Because there's some grammar issues. And I said, sister, I surely did. And there are no grammar issues. Please sit with it again. And they're both Virgos, right? So I'm like, okay, I see. Yeah. But one understood and had a lot to say because her background is that of religion and indoctrination and stuff like that. And not only that, she also works in a school. And so this was challenging the traditional constructs of the mind, right? Challenging identity. How can you identify an era when you are without identity? If you are without noun, then where are you? Who are you? You want it to be captain of of a ship, and yet it is written caption of a ship. So I invite you to ask, who am I? What does it mean, a caption on a ship? So I'm going to read that again. Then I had another sister this morning, thank goodness, that she's so beautiful, such a beautiful soul. She texted me and she read it and she was like, sister, she gave me her feedback. And I was like, thank you. I love the feedback. I really do. Because I have so much good feedback. And then the most quote unquote criticism or other feedback was in grammar issues. And that was like part of the profound concept of letting go, right? Without identity, one has the zero restrictions towards any fixed concepts and yet has the full potential of being and coming to a noun, right? So if you allow yourself to ask, who am I? That's going to go as deep and profound, right? Are you soul? What is soul? Are you consciousness? What is consciousness? Are you identity? What is identity? That's what the invitation, right? Every newsletter invites you. It's an invitation, whether it's an invitation to a workshop, it's an invitation. So the body is the introduction, right? A newsletter introduces information to you. The end and closing out is the information, also letting you know that we're going to be diving deep into the codes of the Codex monthly, and that it is going to be a flow of change with different focal points. What that means for you, fuck around and find out. Send me your email. Be a part of the it's a monthly thing, once a month. Y'all not gonna get a lot. We have 11 more months to go. And I'm already getting so many downloads of the other one. I said, Spirit, you are moving this trend, like this wave. All the freaking sea in me. So fucking orgasmic, and yet to identify with a fucking freak in me of the frequency of which I am fucking swimming through, to freaking see the codes with a cipher. What the fuck is the cipher? PSYPHER. Cipher, people read it in that way. It's a weapon. It's a game. It's a decoding. It's a circle. It's a zero. It's nothing. So what is nothing but everything in there, right? Without identity. One, we bringing in the number one. If we are in zero, but one is there. And funny enough, I started this live at 10:10 a.m. So there goes the ones and the zeros and the codes, right? There's so much in here to dissect, to sit with, and this is the thing. If you are feeling resistance of error and grammar, sit with it a little bit longer. Sit with it more. Read it over. What is a codex? What is the X code in your chromosomes? What is a manuscript? What is a relic? What is your DNA codes reciting to you? Who am I? Allow yourself to dive deep into the invitation that was shared with you. I could have invited you to upcoming workshops that I have going on. I could have invited you to do this with me. And that's why I said I'm not even doing this every month going live about it, because part of the cipher is you in cipher, you in that ground zero, that space with source, and deciphering for self. There's so much that I'm excited for the next 11 months to share with you. And I have workshops. I have things coming up. And in waves, they're going to be introduced also. So the first one of introducing the monthly cipher, the monthly newsletter, right, of information, to introduce myself. If y'all been following me for 8 years, 10 years, for those of you that know me my whole life, for those of you that been here within the last couple of months even, y'all have heard me say many times, I don't like labels. So to allow me to introduce myself, right, in sharing an introduction in this bio, how did I not do that? How did I not give an invitation? How did I not give information? How did I not give an introduction when all of that is there? But the concepts and the principles of your logical mind that has been indoctrinated in such a way that it has kept you within restrictions of formality cannot see that. So thank you for bringing up the 4s again. I think the 4s and the opening wipe away any notice of error for me. I just knew it was a message. Yeah. I'm really excited about the newsletter. It was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, like, so what happened was I had my phone next to me and I was on the laptop and my cat like moved and she moved. No, it was him. He moved because they were both next to me. So he moved Leo, right? The sun, illumination, enlightenment, right? He moved my phone, and when he moved my phone, it got on the keyboard. And when it got on the keyboard, and I seen that right away, like my ego, I kind of got out because like I said, I was going to do the newsletter in a completely different other way. But Source was like, no. So I want to share with y'all, right? I was like, oh, I'm not even erasing that. That is purposeful. Like this is great. So I left it there. Still didn't even fully know what I was going to write. Like it was literally channel writing. I realized what I was writing once I was done. And then I was going to go back because I read it. I was going to go back and correct the errors, the grammar errors. And Source was like, there is no, do you doubt me? Is there resistance? Is there doubts? Am I not without restriction? Woo! Woo! Can we sit with that for a moment? Then I'm going to share with you, because I looked it up yesterday. This is just so good. So fucking good, right? So then it was meant to be. It was so meant to be. The 0s and 1s and the 5 4s that bring it to a 20. 0, 1, 2, 0. Anyways, there's so many codes in there. There's so many fucking codes from the laws. We're going to still keep breaking it down if y'all want me to keep breaking it down, because there's just so much in there. Right? CIP can stand for Customer Identification Program. Classification of Instructional Programs. Certified Information Professional. Can't even fully pronounce it. Cleaning in Place. Copenhagen Infrastructure Thank you. Infrastructure Partners. Right? These are the different things that CIP can stand for, right? And then Customer Identification Program is a set of procedures that financial instructions in the United States use to verify the identity of their customers. A requirements of the USA Patriot Act and Bank Secrecy Act and the Bank Secrecy Act. A part of Know Your Customer Guidelines, the KYC, used to prevent financial crimes like money laundering and terrorism financing. All right, that's just in Customer Identification Program. Yeah, the spirit not fucking know beyond your logical mind? Let's go a little deeper, right? Because this is part of the cipher. Do we not get back to ground zero? Do we not go and decipher, decode the codes in this? Is there not an invitation of who am I? These are all words still. Does any of it cause you resistance? If so, that's great. Feel the resistance and ask yourself more. What is the resistance? Why do I identify with this energy as a resistance? What is my identity? What is my soul? What does my consciousness say? Am I consciousness? What am I? Let's keep going. Certified Information Professional, a certification exam offered by AIM. Oh, Soros, this is so, I'm just so I fucking am. Make me sweat. Make me water, shit. Oh, okay. The exam of constants of 100 multiple choice questions, and candidates have 120 minutes to complete it, right? So these are numbers, these are codes in which there's multiple choices and questions and candidates. Who are the candidates? Perhaps your faculties, perhaps your personalities, perhaps the identities, right? Perhaps the mirrors, right? And these numbers. And didn't I say we went from 0 to 1 to 2? And then we have 4 and we have 5, right? There's just so much in there, right? Let's go into it. The Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners, a Danish investment firm that specializes in infrastructure investments, particularly wind power. Were there not contractions of change in the air? Contractions in the air. What? Contractions in the air? What? Okay, let's. Cleaning in place. A process that involves rinsing equipment with hot water and a solution to remove particles, flavors, and sugars. What are we cleaning? Are we cleaning the identity? Are we removing the particles, the flavors, and the sugars of attachments to that identity? Are we putting the hot water of purification and cleansing in the vessel? Perhaps we are cleaning the caption on a ship. What is a caption on a ship? Let's go back to the Codex cipher. Then the 44444s. Perhaps those are numbers that's meaningful to you. Perhaps a portal. Perhaps the foundational structure, the culture, the squares, the foundation. I don't know if I said foundation, but all the meanings of the fours, right? All saying it's time to clean it in place. We're cleaning up the foundation. We're cleaning up the culture. We're cleaning up the what is it? The people. It's so much foundations. Information. Fours have so many things, and right now I'm just drawing a blank because it's cleaning in place. It's fucking cleaning in place. I can't even think. I literally had zero thoughts. Zero. I was in ground zero. If somebody was to channel my energy and try to read me at the time, they would think I had zero brain cells to think. They would be like, is she even alive? And there's so much life. Let's go. Without identity, one has the zero restrictions towards any fixed concepts, and yet has full potential of being and coming to a noun, perhaps. Where we at? That is the pursuit of happiness and freedom. Pursuit of happiness is not just a Will Smith movie. There was a thing about investments, right? And finances and stuff that was coming up and things with the United States. Well, if you go to investopedia.com and you look up pursuit of happiness, or perhaps you go to the UCC and you go and you check where they have all these water codes, their water lingo to their legalities and stuff. And what is the pursuit of happiness in their language? What is the pursuit of happiness to you, right? Our meaning, my meaning, the way I identify with pursuit of happiness. Nobody said there was a grammar error there, but they may not have the same meaning that I had with pursuit of happiness. Or perhaps they did, or perhaps theirs was more in the waters of legalese, and perhaps mine's is just about the pursuit of happiness and freedom of soul, and yet it is both one with the sovereignty of what is the sovereignty without the restrictions of the 44444s. Of the cultures. It's sovereign from attachments, and yet full of potential. Right? And there's so much more. What is the pursuit to happiness with you? Fuck the legalities. Fuck the attachments of what it may mean in the legal system, in the lawful system, in the dictionaries. What does it mean for you? Well, who are you? Who am I? If you're giving a noun, being and coming to a noun for your happiness and for your freedom, then that is the spaces of identity, right? So consciousness. Without identity, the absence of attachments. Breathe into that for a moment. Zero points. One's path to enlightenment or expression. Both a public duty and a private right of law by the natural world. I sit here birthing this new experience as a caption of a ship, able to navigate through the waters of my imagination that I have yet to see. SEA. Sitting here birthing. A ship sits at the dock, and when it is sitting at the dock, it's a birth. The body is a vessel in which the identity is the caption of a ship. the identity being the caption of a ship does not necessarily mean it is the captain of a ship. Able to navigate through the waters of my imagination, the nation of your image that I have yet to see. SEA. In the midst of the air, my thoughts are blank with no ideals or vision. Yet I can feel the contractions of change in the air as I land a topic for you to read all about its growth from nothing to a tree of life. So a codex is not only a manuscript or has certain connections to other books and cultures and whatnot, but it's also a tree stump. And the bottom, the not the tree stump, but the bottom of the tree, right? The bottom of the tree is the part that holds the foundation for the rest of the tree to grow and holds the foundation of the roots that's deep in the earth, deep in the codex. I love y'all. This is why we do this. In the midst of the air, my thoughts are blank with no ideals or visions, yet I can feel the contractions of change in the air as I land a topic for you to read all about its growth from nothing to a tree of life, perhaps a relic in the DNA codes to be recited as a living manuscript as I type, who am I? You know, when I tell you I was literally without thought in the space, I just had to feel the channels through, and it was perfect love and perfect trust. And I could feel the contractions of the contracts that were shifting. Shifting, switching the codes. Ah, God is so fucking good. Whoever that may be to you, but another identity, perhaps a dog, who knows? Let's go. Who am I? Soul, consciousness, identity. Perhaps this is a question for you to ask yourself and journal about. Welcome to the Codex Cipher, where the pages are released each month to dive deeper into the codes of the Codex, in which are in constant flow of change with different focal points until we meet again. God is switching the code. That's the newsletter, y'all. That is the newsletter. That is the news. We're going to be doing this on a monthly basis. There's an invitation. This is where we're starting at. If you needed an introduction, this is the introduction. If you need an identity attached to that, find that in your resistance. Find that in your codes. Find that in your mirrors. Find that in your caption of your ship. Find that. What is it? What is that? Oh, do you need to be the captain of your ship so much that you find error in the caption? Okay. Well, then find the error and correct your status. Find the error and correct your status. You must be able to know how to do that on so many waves of dimensions. I shared with you so much that was profound when I was reading what I wrote after. It's like going back when you're reading the channel writings, right? I'm still getting downloads. There's still things that y'all may have perceived that I have yet to perceive. Your understanding and my understanding, that's why I understood. I told the sister, and she left me a few voice notes when so I have to check them when I get off this live. I actually have a call that I have to do in about an hour, so I'll check it in. So anyway, she maybe she felt a type of way, because I was like, I get it, like you don't, your level of consciousness is in a different space, so you don't have the understanding, which is why I invite you to sit with it a little bit longer. Ask those questions you've never asked before. If there is no identity, could there be error? I've been Jane Doe, and I wish I knew what was the number. I was so upset as I was a teenager. My best friend tried to kill me. And that left a lot of trauma for my family. And being without identity and just a number code, at such a young age, there was many things that I've been through that was kind of a crazy ass fucking story, right? But that's just one of it. And what does that mean? I remember waking up from the hospital and having all these things, the heart monitors and all these plugs on me. I literally was ripping the fucking plugs. It was like a fucking movie. I remember this shit like Resident Evil or something. Like, I just was popping off the tags, the EKG thing. Hold on, sir. No, you're not even supposed to be eating that. Oh, hold on 1 second. Leo. He's eating a piece of plastic. So I ripped it off, and I didn't know where the fuck I was at. And they didn't know who I was. I was literally without identity. And I got into a fight with the nurses and the doctor and the security, because I tried to leave the hospital. And thank goodness the doctor forgave me. I actually apologized to her when I woke up another time later on in that day, because they definitely caught my ass, and they put a needle on my ass, right, to get me to calm down and speak to them. And I actually didn't know, but when they did that, I was able to, they still didn't have my name. They couldn't get my name out of me. Talk about identity, right? But they was able to get my mother's phone number. They didn't get her name. I know my mom's phone number by heart. Talk about codes. A number. Phone number. I knew, out of all the phone numbers, she was the only number that I knew. Actually, I'm lying. I gave them my cell phone number, and then I gave them my mom's number, because apparently they kept calling my number. And then they finally was able to get my mom's number, but I was gone. I was out of it. Like, I don't even remember any of this, right? This was the doctor talking with me. I broke the doctor's nose, and the doctor didn't press charges. Thankfully, she understood. They had to go through a whole bunch of like tests and everything, because the way that they found me, like, it was a lot. It was a lot that was going on. When I woke up, my mom and my siblings was in the room, and there was a detective, and there was cops, and all these things. Like, it was wild. But I remember looking at the hospital bracelet when I got home, and it was Jane Doe and a number. It looked like maybe 9 digits or so. I don't even remember the number. I wish I did. That was just like in such an infuriating place that I tossed it out. And now, like, it's so crazy. Like, now, I mean, and sometimes I talk about these stories, and I'm so detached from the identity of the person that went through those experiences at times, that like my family sometimes are like, still like, we start talking about these stories and you see the stress coming out their pores, like the trauma just keeps coming back. And like, I'm laughing because that's identity. That is identity. And there's beings out there that, even the all caps, like, it's so uncomfortable to read in all caps, and I normally don't even write in all caps, and yet the newsletter was purposefully written in all caps, although it started with being written in script. And a codex is usually a handwritten manuscript. And so it looks like a handwritten manuscript, or something handwritten in the beginning, and then it goes into all caps. Why? What is that? A caption on a ship, perhaps? Something we perceive as our identity? Do we not write our names a certain way, but in certain systems, you see it in all caps in a certain way to identify? I can tell you're smiling while explaining such a traumatic experience. I do the same. Yeah. That girl, man, I was just talking about this before even the newsletter. Like, I was talking about this with another sister, and I was sharing with her, like, I'm sharing with you different details, but we're going more in detail, should I say, because I didn't share with her all the details. But I was like literally telling her, like, my mom, because we were talking about the mother, and we were talking about that internal intuitive knowing, right? That even when a child is grown, the mother can feel that. And I was saying, yeah, what's crazy is, I remember that day. I was literally talking about this yesterday, which I guess is why it's coming up today, but with more details, right? So sis, you got more details to the story a bit, but my mom knew something was gonna happen. She didn't want to let me go out, but I was gonna go anyway. And because I was gonna go anyway, she asked me to call her in case. My dad is usually the one that says, calls me in case of an emergency. Now my mom says, but my mom, when she said that, I knew that she knew something. So I was trying to be mindful. And no matter how mindful I was, no matter how conscious I was, there was things that was happening that I didn't pay mind to, or I didn't have the awareness to understand, right? Just like some reading that they don't understand everything on there. They only know by their level of consciousness. So they're gonna find error in the spaces of that which they know. But it's like fear. If you don't even know the root of your fears, or you don't know your triggers, you don't know the many meanings of this faculty, of this identity, of this purpose, of this being, of this energy, you're not going to be able to see the whole picture. You're only identifying with one definition. Like friends has many definitions. So, as a matter of fact, let me read, because we're talking about a friend that tried to kill me, right? And my mom knew. My mom, she didn't know she was going to kill me or try to kill me, but she knew that something wasn't right. She had a bad feeling. So she was like, call me in case of an emergency. And friend definition. Okay. So, friend. Oh, that's my friend. That's my friend. They'd be like, that's not my friend. So, noun, right? So, the reason why I'm going into identity and noun and I'm sharing it with you is because, again, you're going to find error in identity. But if consciousness without identity is truly in the space, then you will flow beyond the caption on a ship written in all caps. You will allow yourself to decipher the codes of your DNA like a relic or a living manuscript of who am I? Getting caught up in the details of, oh, it's not, you wrote caption on a ship and not captain of a ship. No, that's very purposefully. What is a caption on a ship but a name of the ship? No? Are we not writing in all caps and talking in certain things? What is it? Who am I? Ask yourself that. Just like the cipher, written in different ways, has so many meanings, from a weapon to zero to a circle to deciphering. Noun, a person whom one knows and with whom one has a bond of mutual affection, typically exclusive of sexual or family relations. And they changed that because that was not always there, typically exclusive of sexual or family relations. The second is a member of a religious society of friends, a quacker. Must be a duck. A verb, informal, add, in parentheses, someone, to a list of contacts associated with a social networking website. This is like if in a verb, to befriend someone, right? Back in the days, it was written, the definition was more of a platonic thing, but it was definitely of knowing a person whom one knows and with whom one has a bond of mutual affection, right? And so, a friend, let me see here, translations and more definitions here. A person who is not an enemy or who is on the same side. A familiar or helping thing. A contact associated with a social networking website. These are similar nouns. Okay. These are identities that people take on and have different meanings for. That's my friend, deeply in tune with the space of, there's so much love, there's so much affection, there's a connection, whether it's sexual, family, whatever. And even those now, oh yes, that's my social media friend, or that's my friend, there's a thing, right? But if there's someone that is a familiar or a thing, right? It's not often that they say that's my friend. It's not often that if you see a person who acts as a supporter of a cause, an organization, or country by giving financial or other help, that we call a friend. We can say, oh, that person works for such and such company, right? They're a supporter in this way, right? They looked out for me, right? It's also often as a polite form of addressing or an ironic reference. An acquaintance or a stranger one comes across. We don't call everybody our friends, right? And so your definition of a friend versus the dictionary's definition of a friend and my definition of a friend is part of the Pyspher Codex, right? It's part of the diving deep into the consciousness of identity and then diving even deeper to the consciousness without identity. So I know I took us on so many waves, right? Because she went from being a friend to not being a friend at all. She was no longer familiar. She was no longer all these things. And yet, because she didn't uphold the titles of the definitions of the labels and this, that, and the third of what the definitions say. And truth be told is, while we were in each other's lives, she didn't do a lot of those things anyways that a traditional friend should do or would do, or that we classify as a friend. And yet I considered her my friend. There was building of relationships and family bonds and whatnot, right? And we told each other sexual secrets and stuff like that. And so that identity that I had with her died when I woke up in the hospital as Jane Doe and a number. I no longer was in the space of perfect love and perfect trust with her. In fact, I had to lose my identity to go back to the remembrance of what is perfect love and what is perfect trust. Because I no longer trusted anybody. And CIP44444 is an investment, no? So how do I fund the trust that should be perfectly in the space where I get to benefit from the love, the perfect trust in that space as who I am? My trust fund, my spiritual trust fund was shaking me outside of my identity. There was contractions in the fucking air that needed to change. It was already changing. And all I can do was feel the fucking contractions. Feel the fucking contractions as I was birthing a new me. Who's me? All simultaneously being without identity, but a number, a code. until my family came and they gave them a name. So I had two. I had the Jane Doe and a number. Then I had the other one with my name, and then I had the one with the allergies, because they let them know like what allergies I was allergic to. Identity gives you experience and memories, and there's so much that I'm gonna leave here, because we have 11 months of journeying together, and there's so much that Spirit has working on the other side. Like, I'm just like, ooh, Spirit. And February is right around the corner, y'all. So like if you really take more time, I invite y'all, if you are watching this, if you want a copy of it, I can send it to you. If not, just come back and listen again. And maybe you read it differently because I've read it to you this time, right? Maybe the way you read it in your head is not in the same flow that I've read it to you in this way, and that's okay too, right? Things change when you hear someone, like, you could read a book one way, and the moment somebody else reads it in another way, it changes the whole code. It switches the code, and you're like, ooh, ah, ee, whoo, ah, so like, can you let go and detach from the restrictions and the identity and the fixed concepts for just a moment? Those were the moments when I felt the most me. In the spaces where there is no error, there are no labels. Ones cannot judge me for what is there to judge. I love you. And I leave you with that love and perfect trust. And I look forward to continuing the newsletters. And I look forward to you diving deep within yourself. That it doesn't matter what my breakthroughs are, but that you break through for you. And that you meet me on the other side. You see me there as I see you. Peace.